Happy Friday to everyone out there. If you're joining us on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook Live, we're glad you're with us for another week of the Where Eagles Dare podcast. And this time we have somebody with us, a special guest from the Don't Sleep Network, and the Don't Sleep on the Couch podcast. It's our good friend Kash. Welcome to the Where Eagles Dare podcast, dude. Glad to have you.
Appreciate y'all for having me, man. I've been wanting to hop on, been watching y'all since the start, so I'm proud of y'all, man, for what y'all doing, man. Y'all keep it real in the weeds, man, and that's the type of content I like to hear because I'm surface level with the Eagles banter. But I mean, I love the team, New York by where I come from, but somehow became an Eagles fan, man. So
hey, I can relate. I'm from Detroit originally, so and it was through family, And Detroit's just really bad. When I was growing up, they were bad then, they're bad now. So it's like, I'm just glad that somebody turned me on to the Eagles. They could have turned me on to a bandwagon team, like the 49ers or something in the 80s when I was growing up. But they loved me, so they turned me on to the Eagles, and the rest is history. So, yeah, so tell us a little bit about the Don't Sleep network, and because you guys been around a while, right? The Don't Sleep on the Couch podcast.
It's been almost 3 years now, man. So it really just started with 3 of my friends, but we just kind of really want to talk about music and sports. That's all we really talk about on the podcast. We every now and then we have entrepreneurs, we have people that kind of embody hip-hop culture, and they're on the podcast. So we have a crap ton of just people who do music, underground artists. So that's kind of our way to give back to just some of these young guys that's out here really making good music. And that's kind of what we do each and every week. We talk about recent events as far as music goes. So we get in the weeds and we get to the people that, everybody knows as far as mainstream. But, it's been great so far, man. So I'm loving it, having a great time doing it.
Well, I tell you what, we're glad to have you. You guys got a lot of listeners and subscribers, so we're just getting started ourselves. So to have you on is a pleasure, and to meet you today was really cool. So welcome. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk like we always do. It's the Where Eagles Dare podcast. Now, initially, we were going to stop when the Eagles got eliminated from the playoffs, right. And we were like, it didn't feel right. It was like, we can't leave it with the rest of the season left to go. So let's just carry it through and give our take. And it's been kind of funny because we've branched out now. We're talking about other teams when we normally kind of kept it zero focus. But so what we're going to do tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about just some Eagle news that's out there and just random stuff. And then we're going to get into the Super Bowl preview and kind of get everyone's takes on how you think it's going to go. So it's crazy. So this Sunday is the Super Bowl, Los Angeles Rams, Cincinnati Bengals. If you don't know by now, then you're probably a bandwagon fan that just is coming around for the Super Bowl party and for the halftime show to see, which I'm excited about. And we'll get into that too. This halftime show is going to be crazy. But so this is I don't think this is the matchup that a lot of people expected. It is, especially with the Bengals, maybe the Rams. I think people were high on Packers Chiefs. I think was on everybody's mind. But what do you guys think about this initial, this matchup? What do you think about what's going on with that? Just to get us going. What do you think, Kash?
Initially, I just wasn't into it, man. Like these are two teams. These are two teams. I mean, 2-14 2 years ago, and this quick to make it to the Super Bowl. Part of me was hating, as far as the Eagles not being there. But the other part of me is like, damn, I haven't watched that much Bengals football outside of, their playoff run. So let me go, do my research and see what these guys are about outside of the top guys. So, I wasn't too excited about it. And then you got Matt Stafford on the other side, and I'm like, it's not even a feel-good story for him. I don't care if he wins or not. The only can I really, I'm really rooting for though, when it comes in, I won't give away my pick quite this soon, but it's really, just that beast Aaron Donald, and I love what Ramsey does and the swagger he plays with, and of course, OBJ for being misunderstood, what I mean, all these years, in my opinion. So, I mean, it should be entertaining. So I'm looking forward to it, but I wasn't initially. I was like, okay.
I agree. It'll be entertaining. What do you think, Tubby?
Yeah, man, I think, obviously everybody, if you're not surprised by the Bengals being in the Super Bowl, you're probably kidding yourself, especially how loaded the AFC was. You got guys like Josh Allen, obviously Patrick Mahomes, former MVP, former Super Bowl champ, was in the last 2 Super Bowls, favorite in every matchup. So for the Bengals to creep in there, man, I was surprised. But you look at their role to getting to the Super Bowl, They had I won't say an easy route or an easy way, but beating the Raiders, I wasn't surprised they beat the Raiders. I wasn't really surprised that they beat Tennessee with Derrick Henry coming back. I wasn't really surprised by that, but and I really wasn't surprised by the fact they beat the Bengals. The Chiefs, because they beat them 3 weeks ago. I wasn't surprised. I didn't think they were going to beat the Bengals. I took the Bengals with the spread, but I didn't think. I thought, at least I predicted the Chiefs Rams Super Bowl. So I'm definitely not surprised that the Rams are in it. I thought they should be. I thought their missing link was their quarterback, and then they made some great additions to the season with picking up Von Miller and picking up OBJ. So, and then you get Cam Akers recovering from an Achilles injury to come back and kind of propel that team forward as well. So I'm not sure if they would have made it with just Sonny Michel back there. So, I am surprised about the Bengals, and I am excited, man. To not have Brady in the Super Bowl, that is pretty cool. Like, shit, you got to have some type of change, or should I even have Patrick Mahomes, because we're going to have Patrick for a long time. Yeah, so it was like, having a Super Bowl where I really don't even feel like I have a dog in the fight. I'm just kind of watching. I used to, right. I've been to a few Bengal home games, so I wouldn't mind if they win, and I also wouldn't mind if Odell got a ring as well, too. So, yeah, man. What you think about it, Lee?
Well, the thing for me, cracks me up. I live in Dayton, Ohio, so I'm really familiar with the Bengals, and you were here too, Tubby, for a long time. So we have a little soft spot. We know what the people go through, and I don't hate the team like I hate Ohio State living around here, but I picked against them I'm in a picks game where we're picking for money throughout the whole season. I was in first place throughout most of the entire season, and Cincinnati's probably led to my downfall because of their offensive line. I just didn't think they were going to get through the playoffs. I picked against them every single round. Raiders, I thought that front four of the Raiders was going to get to Burrow. Didn't happen. Well, it did, but he still survived. And then he gets 9 sacks against Tennessee, and I picked against him. Still comes out. And then again, they can't beat the Chiefs. All right, they got to the AFC Championship. Good on them. And then they somehow found a way to win that game. And it's not just Burrow that's doing it. Definitely not the offensive line, but it's not just Burrow doing it. Yeah. Jamar Chase is having a hell of a year. Mixon's having a hell of a year. Uzama's having a hell of a year. And T. Higgins, they've got, on the offensive side of the ball, outside of that line, they've got the guys that can really score. They remind me of those classic underdogs teams, the Eagles being one of them, even though we had a much better line. And then the Rams in 2000 or 1999-2000 season, where greatest show on turf, just come out of nowhere. Trent Green goes down, Kurt Warner comes in, and boom, all of a sudden they end up in the playoffs and winning it all. So it's kind of one of those teams that it just happened, because like you said, they were at the bottom of the barrel. They won, I think, 4 games last year after Burrow went out with his injury, and that was it. He comes back, you don't know what he's going to do. So they're one of those teams you can't figure out. It reminds me of the Eagles in 2017, where everybody picked against them, everybody slept on them because it was quiet. They came in after we lost Wentz. Everybody's like, that's it for them, and we just quietly get to the Super Bowl, and then of course, they can't beat Brady, and he did. So again, I think you're going up against a team though in the Super Bowl with the Rams. It looks like a juggernaut. They have paid for this. It's clear that the Rams knew the Super Bowl was going to be in LA. They knew going in that they had to go out and get OBJ. They had to go out and get Von Miller to add to this team. They have paid. If you want to call them the Yankees of the NFL, you could, because they've gone out and paid to bring this team out. Now, I don't have any grudges against that. I don't begrudge them for doing that. If you can do it and you can fit it under the salary cap, go do it. I'd be happy if the Eagles had a general manager that would do stuff like that. So I'm not jealous. It's just that they are, on paper, a team of superstars. So again, it is another David and Goliath situation. So I'm excited to see what happens, and we'll break it down even further later on the show. Before we go any further, I want to talk some Eagles news, since this is Where Eagles Dare podcast. A lot of stuff going on this week, the last 2 weeks between our last podcast and this Super Bowl. Just as far as the Eagles are concerned, it's crazy. So one of the big things is they're trying to lure Jason Kelce back to the Eagles, and I thought it was funny. Nick Sirianni sent him a case of beer. And speaking of beer, it is Friday, so you know what that means.
It's Corona time. Hey, it's Corona time right now.
Got a little bit of tequila here.
There you go.
Same. He had a
It's
little whiskey.
Corona time.
Sir, cheers.
So the one thing is like when we do the podcast during the week, a lot of times I can't indulge, but it's Friday, so I was like, oh, this is gonna be a good one. So I've had a few of these already, so it is Corona time. So enjoying that. But yeah, Nick Sirianni sent a keg of beer to Jason Kelsey. Now, if you want to win your way into this man's heart, that's probably that and maybe a couple of fried turkeys to his house would probably get him to come back. But what he's saying right now is that he's still on the fence. He does this every year, and one of these years he's going to go, I'm not coming back. Like I said, this last time he said, I want to come back, but I have to make sure it's the smart thing to do and that I can still do that and be a good teammate, good leader, and good player. As long as I can do all those three things, I'm definitely coming back. I will say this is that if he does decide to retire, it's going to be a big blow to the Eagles, just from the standpoint of the running game. The one thing I love about Kels is how the way he pulls from that center position, because he's not the biggest center in the league, but he's mobile and he's fast. And when you see that guy pull either to the left or to the right, he's like having a fullback at the center position that gets a snap, and then he's leading the way and creating holes all throughout the defense. So I will miss that. What are your guys' take? We'll start with Kash on Kelsey coming back. Do you think he'll come back this year?
As long as we can have him, I want him to come back. I mean, that run game and just being able to protect. And, we had a lot of health issues over the course of the last couple of years with guys being out, but he's one of the guys where you can say majority of the time he's healthy, he's on the field. That's one guy you can count on at least on your line. You know what I mean? So I'm not for him leaving the game, but I definitely will understand after all of the years he's put in. But yeah, man, I love what we do with our D-line and offensive line. So losing anybody that's a staple that is still, providing, quality minutes and time out there, I'm all for them staying, because Lord knows, outside of those D lines and O lines, we got some problems. So, if you could keep something going, definitely would keep that O line going, and hopefully his successor is already in the building. But if not, I know we'll address that in the draft.
Yeah, I think so. Well, we do have Landon Dickerson, who had probably, because coming from Alabama, and he had an injury that I thought, I was like, when he got drafted, I thought, okay, it's like, how are we going after these injured players, these banged up players? I was very skeptical, but he had an amazing season just playing at the guard spot. And I think if he had to take over at center, I think that he would do a great job. I don't think he would have the same mobility that Kelsey does, but who does? So yeah, I think that is. I think we're okay, but the depth is why I think that if we're going to stay contenders in the league, we got to have that depth on the line, because we saw it happen with Brandon Brooks going out. We had to shuffle people in and out. You had Suopeta in there. You had Nate Herbig in there, and Nate Herbig played good, but we need to make sure we keep that up. So definitely, like when we do our draft special, I'm going to be looking at those offensive linemen who we got that can come in and replace. What do you think about Kelsey, Tubby?
I mean, you always want, I'm a big guy about the locker room, man. It's all about the locker room. I always say football is complementary, and it's complementary in a lot of different phases. Having a strong locker room presence. I think part of why the Eagles won in 2017 was they had a lot of veteran guys on that team, like Garrett Blunt, Jeffries, on and on. You had a mix of young guys with Jay Ajayi, Clement. Remember Clement took the snap in that Philly special. Mm-hmm. Trey Burton threw that pass for the Philly special. So that mix of young guys with, even though our big left tackle Peters didn't play, I'm sure he gave a lot of confidence to those offensive linemen in preparation up to that week. So you always want guys like Kelsey around. And he was still at the top of his game. He still, Eagles had the number one rushing offense in the NFL last year, 159 yards per game, ending out the season. So of course you want him back. And I agree, man. I was a little worried too when it came to Dickerson, because remember we got the guy Garrett, I think his name was JT Barrett, JT Barrett, from Alabama. And he had a lot of injuries. Incredible. He played every offensive line position at Alabama.
Right.
We picked him up. I don't think we drafted him, but we got him somehow. Yeah. And those injuries caught back up to him. So you just hope that doesn't happen with Dickerson. But if we can have him at center, that young, and having, coming behind somebody like Kelsey as a successor, I think that's setting your team up for success. My opinion. Yeah,
I think
so
on the tackles,
I'm all for Dickerson.
Yeah, I think with the tackles we've got Lane, and I think Mailata is going to just keep getting better. So I think we're good there. But yeah, if Leonard Dickerson moves, then we're going to have to look at drafting guards. So it'll be interesting. But speaking of young guys that have made an impact, we got to talk a little bit about this guy, a Boston scout for the Eagles, went out and got signed to a pro video game league for Rocket League. So he's now a part of the Eagles, and he's just in demand. So you got to give him props to that. What do you think about this guy going out and do it? I mean, this is great to be able to play NFL full time and then to perfect your skills in a video game, because that to me is impressive. I don't care what anybody says.
I won't be one of them haters and say you need to be focusing on your craft. That won't be me. That won't be me. Go ahead and get your money. Go ahead and get your money, Scott, because anytime that he is utilizing offense, like, all this year and even last year, like, it's like they yank him every time they have, other bigger backs to be out there on third downs and stuff like that. But when he comes in, he makes a difference. So I'm not mad at him looking elsewhere, for future money and opportunities. So I'm all for it. And the funny story is, like, my son, he's about 15, and he was like, "You heard of this Scott guy?" And I'm like, yeah. Why are you asking? Because he doesn't watch football, he watched basketball. So I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, why are you asking? Did you know he got to the Rocket League? So that's how I found out he got signed to it, and he's making a living doing it. So yeah, more power to him, man.
That's cool.
Man. What's his name? Kyler Murray from Arizona.
Yeah.
He's in the league as well, too. He's an affiliate of some big gamer league, and his play went down a little bit. Well, he had ups and downs. First, he was MVP. He started the season, then you go down. But from Bart Scott, it's like he has time. He's not our starter running back, and he steps up when we need him. So, I guess you got to be under 6 feet to get in these leagues, like him and Kyler Murray, man. These guys, short, fast dudes.
Age isn't a requirement.
Video games. Yeah, man. Jeez. But I don't mind it. It's all good, man. More power to him, man.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I played hours of different video games, and I've never mastered one. So, I mean, maybe that's the thing. Maybe I'm playing too many different ones, and he just sticks with the one, and he just kills. So maybe that's the key. Maybe I just can't do it. All right. So another Eagles story that came out this week, just to keep it on the Eagles train, is this one is probably my favorite. Anthony Harris, our safety, he actually surprised an 11-year-old girl. What I read about this story was that this girl, Audrey Soap, lost her father and grandfather, both unexpectedly in the last year. Now, her mother was a Vikings fan from when Anthony Harris was with the Vikings, and just sent him a direct message after he posted about losing his grandfather to COVID. And having this connection, she reached out to Anthony Harris and said, that this poor girl lost her dad and her grandfather. Would he stand in for them to take her to this dance? And man, what a great story! Surprised her. He agreed. He said, if the Eagles don't make the playoffs, I'm in. I'm definitely in. So he came to their residence. And what is interesting, if you read the article, is that they felt like an old family friend. He fit right in, and that's kind of cool story you like to hear about your team, when that they're doing this stuff for people. And we got a lot of great players on our team that are humanitarians and do things for people, and it's nice that that we have that kind of team, because I felt that one of the reasons we made the playoffs this year was because of quality guys. When we won the Super Bowl in 2017, they were a unit. They were very unified guys that would do things for anybody. You could sense that about this team, and I love we have that culture in the locker room. So I thought that was a great story. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it's awesome to, always take a step back from the game and just, humanize people, man. And I think Harris, did a great job, especially with losing his grandfather or grandparent earlier this year due to COVID. So, that's hitting home for a lot of people, man, and realizing that certain things, really don't matter, all the external stuff that we go through each and every day. So I'm glad he can make that happen. And, sometimes it's as easy as reaching out, to people, and they'll comply. So I thought that was a dope story, man. I'm gonna follow that guy now here, man. I mean, pull up my phone.
Yeah, man. I mean, how can you root against that? I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. Somebody, period, taking time out of their busy schedule, to make somebody else happy or to make somebody else's day. My hat goes off to Harris for that, man, for sure.
Yeah, that was that I'm not crying, you're crying kind of story. It's like, oh man, that's just good. When I first saw it, because there was some stuff on TikTok where they had little videos of it, it was like, damn, oh, yeah, I'm okay.
Man,
well, let's shift gears from like the positive stuff to the negative, because there's Super Bowl and there's a lot of things going on at the Super Bowl. There's one thing we'll just say real quick is that congrats to Dick Vermeil, former head coach of the Eagles, getting nominated to the Hall of Fame. Might have to go back and check that one out. because the guy bled green for his time here. And I was watching the new movie American Underdog recently about Kurt Warner, and when Dennis Quaid comes into the picture and I loved it as Dick Vermeil, coaching the Rams.
Yeah.
The first thing they do is they show his Eagles NFC Championship ring. I'm like, see, that's friggin' awesome. That's right there. So it made me like, oh, I love that guy. And then if you watched, what was it, Unbreakable? What is the one with Vinny Papal? Was it Invincible? Yeah. Invincible. Yeah, the Greg Kinnear playing Dick Vermeil. So he's always been, just a legend in Philly as far as coaches. Took us to our first Super Bowl in 1980. So yeah, congrats to him. Another thing that happened at the Super Bowl though was they've talked to a lot of different players out there, and we know that we've talked about on this podcast that Justin Jefferson could have easily have been an Eagle had Howie Roseman drafted him over Jalen Reagor. Everybody was shocked when Howie picked Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson, and he's gone on to be, and it's just his first 2 years, his numbers he's putting up is just unbelievable. They're off the chain, and so he was asked if what does he think about the Eagles not taking him, and he flat out threw the gauntlet down. He said that if the Eagles would have drafted him, I probably wouldn't have had those type of seasons in Philly that I did in Minnesota, which it actually shocked me because I'm like, yeah, but you were under Kirk Cousins. I'm not digging on Kurt. Kurt's not a horrible quarterback, but it's not like he was, under there with Aaron Rodgers or somebody like that, or somebody that is a pinpoint passer that so for him to say that, it surprised me. I was like, wow. He's really gone out and actually you could say he came after Hurts and Wentz both.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, because if Wentz would have had Justin Jefferson, I'm just saying if Wentz would have had Justin Jefferson, he may still be an Eagle right now. Because his last season here, he had nobody to really throw the ball to. There was no even Devontae Smith out there, and they kind of used Carson as the scapegoat to get him rid of him, and everything's going to be fine. So yeah, to see Justin Jefferson do that, what's your take on him bringing down the Eagles like that?
Okay. What else? What else is he supposed to say? You know what I mean? Like he got to have his quarterbacks back, man. So what else he's supposed to say? But I mean, part of me is like, damn it, it's kind of true. It's kind of true because I don't think, I don't know. I don't think Wentz on his way out, man, it was sad to see a lot of the overthrows, and you guys have covered the Wentz era, or I'm sure you guys have talked about it to where he damn, can he put it together more than 2-3 games in a row to where he's consistent, 240, 300 yards. Can he do that? 2 TDs, no turnovers. He wasn't doing those type of things. So I'm not mad at Jefferson for saying that, but I definitely think he could have did something with Hurts. I mean, I think he could have did something with Hurts, man. Our rookie, damn near led the league in rookie yards and receiving. So having 2 of those guys and not having Reagor on the other side, safe to say he probably would have got his yards as well. So it was unnecessary, but I mean, what else he gonna say?
I agree.
No, that is like a double back slap because you're hitting 2 quarterbacks with one swing and maybe even falls in there depending on the time frame.
Right.
So because they got in 2018, 2019.
Yes,
2019.
Yeah.
2019. So this is Jeff.
His second year. Yeah.
Like you said, Smith still set the Eagles record that was put on by Deshaun Jackson.
Exactly.
Who was he with McNabb? Was that a record with McNabb?
His rookie season.
Yeah, it was his rookie year.
Right. So I mean, I know we had the additional game, but if we looked at McNabb as being a legit quarterback, and he was, McNabb was a perennial Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
And Hurts, even with our number 1 passing rushing offense, we still managed to break the rookie record. I mean, it was something there. It was a lot of drop passes and a lot of just downright bad play from Reagor. So we don't know what could have came out of a wide receiver that was confident between JJ. I mean, you name it. Everybody except for Devontae Smith. I mean, really. So we don't really know what our wide receiver court can be because we don't know. We just know we have Goddard. He's good and he gets the ball just fine. And Smith is good and he gets the ball just fine, especially towards the end of the season. So it is what it is, man. Everybody has time for the Eagles, apparently, but I would rather make at least the playoffs, with your quarterback. Y'all didn't even make the playoffs, and you guys had Thielen and Justin Jefferson. So he probably should just passed on that. Talk about a playoff team.
He's just
But,
angry.
he
He's
is
just
having
angry.
incredible-
Angry
he's
young
having an
man. You
incredible
know.
year, though.
I agree with both y'all. I think that if we had him instead of Rager, maybe not the first season he wouldn't have had some great numbers, but this past season we couldn't have done any worse. I mean, considering the balls that J-Jaw dropped when he had an opportunity, like in the friggin' the finale against the Cowboys, dude, wide open in the end zone. He's done. He's gone after this year. J-Jaw's gone. But Rager, I don't, like say he can't even return punts. He can't even play special teams for us. And this is, the guy now. It's ridiculous. I watched that documentary with it is really good, by the way, if you haven't seen it, the Joe Montana documentary. And it just solidified to me who was really the GOAT of the 80s, watching Joe Montana, because he won 2 Super Bowls before Rice even got there. But he talks about when Rice got there in his first year, and you think that, okay, Rice came in and everything, like the 49ers went back to the top. And Rice dropped a ton of passes his first season. He was nervous. He wasn't getting the routes down, and it rededicated himself to do it, to become the best receiver that's out there. And so some people have said, well, that could happen to Rager. I think it was Michael Irvin on one of the shows was like, be patient. But I'm sorry. The kind of drops that Rager's making, to compare that he might be the next Jerry Rice, that's a big stretch. So I would much rather have Justin Jefferson on our team, regardless of the digs he makes. And yeah, like you said, what's he got to say? He's going to be loyal to the Vikings and just go on and move on. So we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll get him when he's washed up, like they're trying to get Russell Wilson in his later
Right.
years. Maybe we'll get Justin Jefferson in a trade when he's just about done with his career, and we'll see what happens. Going back to some other former Eagle news, this is a good one for those that love Dougie P when he was here. Hired as the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. This was interesting to me because I didn't know if Dougie would ever coach again. And he's in a situation that I actually think is good for him because he's got a team that he can build from the ground up. He doesn't have a lot of established guys there except for Trevor Lawrence. You got Chark, but Chark's look like he's on the way out. So, yeah, I actually feel good about this for Dougie. To me, this hire actually kind of makes me go, all right, this is a chance for him to prove that it was him that led us to a Super Bowl, that it was legit, regardless if he wins another Super Bowl or not. If he can make the Jaguars respectable, he will prove a lot to a lot of people. What's your take on Dougie P getting a job with the Jaguars?
Well,
Go with Kash.
2 things. Number 1, you can count on he won't be at the gentleman's club, ignoring his responsibilities. We can definitely count on that. Number 2, I don't think that he has a structure in his organization that will combat him as much as he did in the Eagles. The Eagles football is one of those things to where you have to deal with Howie Roseman. You don't really deal with Jeff Lurie too much, but he kind of, for some reason, is like Howie's his son. So whatever Howie says goes. And, if you conflict with the coach, then you pretty much have some issues and you're probably on your way out the door, even after winning a Super Bowl. With that said, I think he'll be able, like you said, Lee, to build a team. And who better to start with outside of Sunshine? I mean, Sunshine is a great quarterback, but this year he didn't really have, too many things around him to really help him out. And the Jaguars can be solid with the run game. You know what I mean? So I think he can mold Sunshine into the quarterback that he ultimately is going to be, and he will have at least, I would say, probably 4 to 5 years to figure it out. He will stay probably the length of his contract because if they're being honest with themselves, they got to know they're starting from the ground up, and it's not going to happen overnight. So I'm excited for Dougie P, man.
Yeah, good point on the Urban debacle. And I think they'll be more patient with Dougie, like you said, because of Urban. What do you think, Tub?
No, I think the only way it's up for the Jaguars organization, you get a guy who, unlike Urban Meyer, he has had success at this level. He knows what success looks like. And it seems like even his tree of people, Frank Wright and the whole Indianapolis coach, those Indianapolis coaches have gotten a lot of jobs, man. Everybody off that Dougie P tree has gotten a ton of jobs, man. Every time you turn around, somebody from the Colts organization is getting another gig somewhere. So that's just crazy, man. He has a good, just like Kash was saying, with the run game, you got James Robinson. That's a good start. It's a good foundation. You have Trevor Lawrence, who is a proven winner at the college level. He was a bit uncharacteristic last year, watching him, but he's a rookie. And you expect those rookie mistakes or, those first year starter mistakes. So, man, I think the Jaguars are very close to, they still have what? What's his name? Michael Jones or Marvin Jones or something like that
Marvin
out
Jones,
there.
yeah.
You said DJ Chark, he's probably up out of there, but maybe he may stay now with Dougie P. You never know because you have an offensive minded coach, former quarterback, if he can get some veterans behind him to kind of help him out, like, how Chase Daniel was kind of like a ghost of our back. But remember, Chase Daniel was right there helping those guys out. That, man, our locker room was crazy, man, with Daniels, Foles, and Wentz on that way, and then you have Frank Wright and you also have Dougie P. You have 5 quarterbacks in the same room,
right,
brainstorming, working through things. That's why the next man up mentality worked for us and it proved, and it got us our first Super Bowl. So, man, shout out to Dougie P. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Coach. He should have another chance. The only way is up. He will at least be at the Jaguars for 4 years unless something, random happens. It's big on this cancel culture environment. So, you never know, man. They may find something. Everything was going good with Gruden.
Yeah.
And then,
it does happen.
And then something crazy happens. So, I think he's going to have some success down there. And I think he's going to have longevity down there as well, too. I can see Dougie P being a coach for at least about 6 years down there, man.
Under the radar. Nobody really cares about the Jags. Good thing
they're
they
not
got
showing up to boo him.
Yeah, good thing they got this hire in before Flores threw the lawsuit out. Because ain't nobody talk about that.
That is a good point because that's
that's
the next topic I have. And I was hoping and praying, because if you've listened to this podcast, I am not a fan of Jonathan Gannon. I thought that his soft zone, his 10 yards off the ball process, it was hurting the Eagles more than helping. Not that the teams were scoring a lot of points on us. It's that time of possession. It's not getting our offense back on the field. It's not forcing turnovers that I can't stand that soft zone defense. I've hated it when it was under Schwartz. I just can't stand it. So yeah, this came out and I was losing it. In fact, when I saw that this news that Jonathan Gannon was not going to get the Texans job, I was
no, God, please, no.
I mean, I was exactly it. That's how I felt because, and I blame Brian Flores because I told my son.
I love he got the job, man. Come on, man.
They were not going to hire a white dude, and they were on a fast track. Gannon, the ink was just right there, ready to hit the paper, and they went, "Oh snap, we can't. Who's available? Because I didn't even know Lovey was in the running for that gig. I didn't even hear anything about that. And all of a sudden, boom, Lovey Smith.
Bill Belichick found a way to get us back after that loss, right?
Well,
it was his text message that hit old Flores up. Oh man, my bad. Wrong Flores.
Oh. Damn, Bill! What the hell? I mean, no, but we could get serious about this, or we could make light of it. It is a problem. Where I'm not going to deny that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But when
I got to make fun.
But sometimes you got to laugh when stuff like that happens. When he's texting it, oh, wrong, Brian. Congrats on the job. If you're Brian Flores, and you haven't even interviewed yet, you got to be like, what the hell?
And I think everybody can relate to that. If you've interviewed for a job or if you've been up for a position, and I think it's so relatable that people kind of say, that's messed up. If y'all didn't want him, y'all should have just said y'all didn't want him. But to know y'all have already hired a coach and you're still going through the process, you're kind of making them a token. Nobody wants to be a token, man.
It just showed what everybody thought. They were going through the motions. You know what I mean? Just like what we already thought about the Rooney Rule, and it just showed that. But yeah, I think everybody on here can attest to where, hey man, you won that award or you got this job, and next thing you know, you don't really have the award or the job.
Or it tells you got promoted.
Yeah, you got promoted. Oh, my bad. 0.5. You didn't put in that decoration.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And so I know the Texans, I honestly believe in my heart the Texans would have hired Jonathan Gannon. That's all I heard was he was the only candidate. And then that happened. And it's the second time that Belichick screwed us because I didn't want to lose Frank Reich when he left to go to Indianapolis. He was not even really being considered for the Colts job. And then Josh McDaniels was already hired. and then Belichick convinced him to stay. And the next thing you know, the Colts are looking for a coach, and they take our offensive coordinator, which just drove it just drove crazy. And now McDaniels is going to Las Vegas to coach the Raiders, so it's not like he's staying and going to be the heir apparent. And I bet you that's what Belichick promised him was like, hey, you stick around here, you're going to take over this job, and you're in a much better position. Well, now he's not because Brady's gone, and Belichick hasn't decided. I'm sticking around, so it's like McDaniels finally leaves, but Belichick has screwed us a lot lately. Not only just drafts. He's just screwed us in this situation. So, congrats to Lovie Smith, though. He's getting another chance. I've always liked him as a defensive guy. He did take the Bears to the Super Bowl. He's had success. And the Texans could do much, much worse in their current situation. The way that Bill O'Brien ran that team, and you lose Hopkins, you lose Deshaun Watson in a controversy. They've gone through a lot in Houston after they were kind of on the cusp of maybe getting into one of these best teams in the AFC conversation, and now it's like they've lost all of that. So they're going to be starting over, and it's good for Lovie Smith to do that. So, but speaking of, go ahead. Go.
While we on Lovie Smith, I'm not willing to believe that Lovie Smith was a legit candidate for the Texans. He didn't coach well at Illinois. Illinois had a good season this year, his first year not being the coach up there in Champaign. So I think they initially fired, was it Cullen? Was they coach? Something like that. David Cullen.
Oh,
David
yeah. The one that,
he was there, and they fired him in 1 year. I thought they fired him so they can get Brian Flores. Yeah, I didn't think that. At least that's what it looked like. Once Brian Flores got fired from the Dolphins, then McCullough got fired, and it was almost looked like, oh shit, they fired him so they can get Flores.
He dropped the lawsuit at the wrong time because he
Flores,
probably would have gotten
more than likely. I think the consensus out there is that Flores would have had a job. He would have had a minimum a coordinator job, but he would have had that Houston Texans job. A lot of people do believe that because you have a coach that came off 2 winning seasons, or at least not 2. He was like 8-8 and then 9-8 or something like that.
Yeah,
and
Miami,
he showed improvement. In Miami, he showed improvement. It was a lot of between Jacoby Brissett and Tua. There was no consistent quarterback play, and once he got consistent quarterback play out of Tua, the Dolphins took off.
Yep,
the Dolphins took off. So there was no real reason why he wouldn't have either been a coach this year or next year for sure. He would have been a hot topic because everybody talks about Bill Bellamy, Eric Bieniemy. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
Bill Bellamy. Man, I was watching this show the other day and Bill Bellamy was on it.
How to be a player.
I thought you were combining. I thought you were combining.
It was about how hip hop, how the comics started back in the 90s.
I've seen that.
It was on Amazon, and Bill Bellamy was on there. But Eric Bieniemy, the reason why he doesn't have a job is because of the stuff that happened right here in Colorado when he was an assistant coach. And with the cancel culture going on, and when you having like past allegations against you, nobody really wants to touch that, no matter how much success you've had. That baggage usurps everything now because nobody wants the controversy to go with these coaches. People, they don't want it. If you can not have it, you'll take a chance on somebody else, then hiring a coach just for everybody to immediately tell you to remove him as your coach. So I don't believe Lovie Smith was right there in the running. It is no way. It was just no way. He wasn't. You never heard his name circulating. No. He came out of Illinois with multiple. He had, his first season was good, but the rest of them weren't good. In college, it could be a recruiting thing too. It may not always be coaching. A lot of it could, you're going up against Michigan, Ohio State, Minnesota, a lot of guys that are probably out recruiting you. But yeah, man. But hey, shout out to Lovie Smith. He is, in his defense, he did make it to the Super Bowl, with the Bears and lost to Indianapolis Colts. He had a lot of winning seasons up there in Chicago. But he was only at Tampa for what, like 1 year?
Right.
I think after that.
He's won a bowl as a DC.
Yeah,
I believe
as a
in his
DC?
career. Yeah, on Baltimore,
Okay.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, he was on the team. I did not know that. I did not.
Right.
I mean, I'm not his pedigree is there. Like, he is a good coach. But I was just saying, as far as him being a hot coach,
No,
I don't
he wasn't
believe
the sexy
that.
pick at all.
I don't believe Lovie Smith was
No.
was at the top of the coaches poll to get that job down there in the Texans. I thought when they got rid of McCullough, I thought their number one guy was Brian Flores.
Right.
And then until that lawsuit came out, everybody just, once again, nobody wants to touch it right now until it's settled. I do think Flores will get another job again, because it's not that egregious. If he can prove that the things that happened in Miami happened, then it's all good. If you can prove that the owner paid you $100,000 a game to lose and then fired you, that's bullshit. Like, I think a lot of people can agree to that. So, and I think the sentiment will be there for him to get a job, and which will then in turn get him hired. So I don't think he's done, but I don't also think that Lovie Smith was at the top of the coaching poll.
I
and
agree.
I don't want to belabor the point on that last point you made, Tubby, as far as just the ownership or GM or anybody in the organization paying you to lose or telling you, hey man, just tone it down. Because I think this has happened in all sports. It's like at a certain point, it's like, hey man, you can't cut your nose to spite your face. Like, we want draft picks, we want this type of compensation for finishing with this record. It's just that a lot of people don't put that on blast, and a lot of coaches don't put that on blast. But I understand when you're coming from a Flores standpoint, it's like, if I don't fucking win, I'm my bad for curse. If I don't win, if I don't win, I may not get another job. Like, I'm not afforded the same opportunities as my white counterparts. You know what I mean? To where anything outside of football and within football, if I don't do well at coaching or winning, then I don't get another job. So I understand why he went that route. But again, I think that's why he, showed those text messages, because he couldn't prove one thing, but he damn sure could prove that Bill Belichick text. So, and I applaud him for being brave, man. Hopefully he gets another job. I just don't think he will with the good old boys club.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, like I tend to agree with you, Kash. I think that the thing that they're going to fall back on is because he came out against an owner. All the other owners are going to be like, I don't want that guy because he's going to expose my secrets, and I don't want that happening. So that's really going to fall against him. He may have to go into the college ranks before he can move his way back. But the thing about the paying to lose, and it's ridiculous to even black or white to ask a coach to lose games. Could you imagine asking a quarterback to go out and lose games? I mean, then you're in Pete Rose territory. Why are you going? That's your reputation. That stays with you. So if he's right about that, that's a big ask, and that's a really big allegation, because why would he do that? Why would you do that? And that's on your record. That's your permanent record as a coach. That reflects on you as your job level of what you're able to do or not. That's why, granted, it wasn't this year, because a lot of people are mixing that up, that he was asked to do that this year. That wasn't the case. That was when they were tanking for Tua. And everybody knew they were tanking for Tua, and he didn't want to do it. But you give him. He
didn't even want Tua.
No, he didn't.
So
and he's probably right, because I think, in my opinion, Jalen Hurts is 10 times better quarterback than Tua, just from the mechanic standpoint. I think that there are things that Tua does well, but they were better off with Tannehill, in my opinion. Tannehill's a game manager. So I don't know where the Dolphins go from here. And then, speaking of the Dolphins, they fired Brian Flores, and you want to add controversy into the mix.
Man,
what they do is they end up going out and hire another black man.
I see what you did there. That Logic's little brother.
Yeah. I love this meme because it says Mike McDaniel, who's, if you haven't heard, is the new coach of the Dolphins, looks like he's about to attempt to explain NFTs to you for the 6th time. And he does. Any picture of it.
Like a stat geek if I've ever seen one, man.
He's not lying. I mean, his dad is black, so he is half black. It's just he doesn't come. And that happens. I mean, they're mixed race people that don't look black and look more white, and it happens all the time. But it's funny is that they made sure they put that out there. The Dolphins made sure they put that out there. And it's funny because when the hire came across the wire, I was on Twitter, and I didn't even really, I looked at the picture. I'm like, okay. And the first thing I did was say, okay, they hired another young white guy, because that's been the thing, that they've been doing. And I one way or the other, I'm just saying that's been a trend of these guys, like it's in San Francisco and LA and Green Bay. They're all got to hire these young phenom, these offensive minded genius, and so they're like a trend. And that's the first thing I said when I saw it. And I go on Twitter, and everybody's saying the same thing: oh, another white guy, another white guy, another white guy. And then people start going, but he's black. And my son, who I love to death, and he's a Dolphins fan, texts me he's black. So I sent him a meme of Pee Wee Herman falling on the ground laughing, because I was like, that may be true, but he's the whitest looking black guy you're ever going to see. So it kind of does the same purpose for them, is like they get their white guy coach, but he fills a minority hire. So it's almost like a win-win for the Dolphins, for them, because they tick the box, and then they get the young offensive white guy mind genius that they want. Now, not taking anything away from McDaniel, I think that from what I've read about him, he's only had 1 year as an OC, but that he was on the lips of a lot of people that he was going to be a potential head coach. It's just surprising that it's this fast that they bring him out there, and it just kind of, in the midst of all this controversy, it just kind of makes you smile or laugh a little bit, kind of hurt to laugh a little bit about the way the situation's going on.
Hey, I'm not mad at the rules, man. I'm one of the few guys that still claim Patrick Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? He looked the same way. He looked the same as that coach right there. Hey, I claim him, man. Anytime I got a black quarterback winning Super Bowl quarterback, claim him.
It's like the Dave Chappelle skit. Yeah, it is. It is what it is.
Russell Wilson too. You know what I'm saying?
The only thing that made the whole situation awkward was actually McDaniels being awkward about it.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like he was outed or something. like when it came out, like when they asked him, so you're black? He's like, no, I'm just a good human. And everybody's like,
it's okay, bro. It's okay.
What? Hey, let me ask you this question. Do you say the N-words or not during the rap songs? If you don't skip them, if you don't skip the N-words on the songs, bruh, if you're in the locker room with the rest of the guys, my hitter, do you say my hitter?
He just puts his hand
all
over his
I'm
mouth.
saying is that that's the funny. That's the first thing that came to my mind. He just gave
funny.
this word salad where he was kind of like, "Yo, what are you talking about, bro?"
Oh yeah, that's funny.
But we even skipped Nick Sirianni. Even Nick Sirianni, our own guy, Cliff Kingsbury. Sirianni.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this.
A lot of these guys have been getting hired. What I thought was funny was I think his name is Jeff Darlington, when he was like, "Man, I was with this guy for 4 years. I never knew he was." That was one of the funniest clips, that I've heard about it. That he was like, he is, man. I was around him for 4 years, and I never knew his dad was black. So I think the only person that made it awkward was McDaniels, and then he followed it up with, he was so adamant about there not being any red flags in Miami. No red flags. Miami should be thankful to have this owner. I'm like, bro, you're embellishing a little bit. Stop it. So, and it is curious how a guy with 1 year OC experience gets this head coaching spot on an offense that wasn't that great in San Francisco. San Francisco was not known for their offense last year. How does he get this job? Makes sense, they couldn't move the ball with Jimmy Garoppolo. A plethora of running backs. Debo Samuel's probably one of the greatest overall weapons on the offense in the league right now. And y'all weren't in those games because of your offense. You were in the game because of your defense. You didn't even score an offensive touchdown in the game you beat the Packers. How did you get this job?
Yeah.
Where's your offensive genius at? How does a genius not put up any touchdowns in a whole offensive game? So I push back on the genius part. He's probably a numbers guy, a stats guy, analytic guy.
Yeah.
And if he can put the right offensive and defensive coaches around him, who can't have success? But I have to pump the brakes on the offensive genius part, because he's coming out of the Niners of all teams.
Mm-hmm.
If he'd have came out of Buffalo, I'd have been like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And, Buffalo could have some games where they were putting up some numbers. But to come out of San Francisco and call yourself an offensive genius, I have to push back on that, because you didn't light anybody up. Who did the Niners light up this year offensively?
They couldn't. They had the rookie behind.
They had Jimmy Garoppolo.
But back and forth. I don't
but
think
they still had a veteran.
Garoppolo did not play as well. I mean, even against the Eagles, which give up a lot of points, you know,
And Tua,
defensively, yeah, he
and I don't think he's going to a better situation. I'm saying I do. Tua. I don't mind. I don't mind Tua, but I'm not sure if Jimmy Garoppolo isn't better than Tua. And I go back to all the weapons that they had on offense with Kittle.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you really look at the San Francisco offense, and you're not be able to produce a touchdown against the Packers. I have to push back on that. I mean, because that's what you are graded against. You know, so you know, with Kyle Shanahan and this genius McDaniels, and y'all still can't come up with an offensive touchdown. I have to push back. So, yeah, man. But hey, whatever, man. Whatever. He made this awkward. He really did. He made this awkward more than anything else. And you know, the Dolphins are genius for making this hire because they check the box. And then we know he'll have at least 3 years because you can't, no matter what year he has, he can't be fired this year. Same goes to Lovie Smith. You can't fire Lovie after this year. That means you can't fire him in 2 years. That means Lovie is going to be guaranteed 3 years in Texans. McDaniels is going to be guaranteed 3 to 4 years because it's so hot right now.
Right. Yeah.
So now it's like, you know, even if you guys are losing, are you guys still gonna get fired? Y'all still gonna be there off the backs of other people that have kind of been hosed. So we'll get to see, man, what happens. Hey, it is what it is, man. I still think the Bills are gonna come out of that division.
It's a crazy NFL world right now. This offseason stuff, it's so much has moved around since even the Super Bowl's not even over yet. And we've got so many things happening, and the coaching carousel always picks up as soon as the playoffs start, and it makes it more about, you know, Brady retiring, taking things away from the NFL and whatnot. But let's get to what we're here for tonight, and that is the Super Bowl. First thing we're going to start off with, though, is you can't really see it on the meme, but Chad Ochocinco put out this meme on Twitter, and it makes sense. Can somebody explain to how the diehard fans of these teams are supposed to attend the game? And you look at where the secondary market is on these Super Bowl tickets, where they're going for five figures, $11,000. And we're talking upper deck stuff. You know, if you want to get into even the nosebleeds, it's around $5,000 just to get a seat where you can't even see the game in LA. And it's a valid point. So I'm excited about the Super Bowl. I'm excited. Every year it's the pinnacle as a football fan. I live for football, and it is a spectacle. But I don't think in my lifetime I'll ever be able to afford to go to the game unless I'm willing to pay these type of numbers. It's just insane how it gets. So going in, that kind of takes it down as far as what's going on. So we'll start with the negative, and then we'll bring it back up because I'm excited. I'm excited for everything that's got to go with the spectacle, but this stuff's got to, the NFL's got to do something about this to get people, because I feel for the Cincinnati fans that have been wanting to go to a Super Bowl for decades and have been denied since 1989 when they played the 49ers and lost. You know, they've not been there. And now, even if they wanted to go, they couldn't afford it. It's crazy what we've gotten to right now.
Yeah, I've gotten to the point where this just is going to be one of those things that I never check off my bucket list as a fan, whether my team is in it or not. You know what I mean? Because I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's gone to quite a few. I think this year was one of the years he skipped just based on, you know, having family in the house that, you know, kind of susceptible to COVID and stuff like that. So he doesn't want to be out in those environments. But prior to this, he was going to every last one of them. And one of the things he said, like, even in a down year like this, you know, I know we're excited about the Super Bowl, but however, with teams that don't have really they have loyal fan bases, but don't typically come out in droves, as, you know, we would all know, traveling wise. So he was like, yo, when you go there, typically when you buy the tickets, when you get there, that's when you get the deals. So they come down off that $10,000 price the closer it gets to the game, just like any other game. But he's like, are you willing to buy a ticket, plane ticket, hotel, you know, all the stuff that's going to be trumped up in the area, food, drinks, all that stuff, pack your family up, and then in hopes of getting a ticket that's, you know, a little bit lower than $5,000 for a nosebleed seat. Like, most people aren't. And then at the end of the day, most of us like to watch it in the comfort of our own home with friends and family on that 70-inch, 80-inch TV, high definition, and not have to deal with all of the nonsense. But again, I do feel for the fan bases that, you know, just are not going to be able to spend that type of money. That's going to turn them off immediately.
That's true. Dub?
Man, Super Bowls, events like this, they aren't for the poor. They just aren't, man. It's a who's who. I'm just keeping it 100, man.
Yeah, so
They aren't for the poor. No. Especially when it comes to LA. Now, if this game was in Cleveland, you probably have a better shot at lowering the prices. But going to LA as it is, being amongst the who's who, you see the Rams game now. It's almost like a little celebrity club. You see them all at the field level. Kawhi Leonard was there, Paul George. You got just celebrities and Big Sean and all around that area. My brother's been to 4 games at this stadium this year. My brother's stationed out there in San Diego, and he's been up at SoFi Stadium 4 times this year. 3 Rams games, Rams fan, and he went to a Chargers.
LA Chargers.
The Chargers.
Yeah.
He went to the Chargers Pittsburgh game, so he's been to
Okay.
four games this year at that stadium. It's a beautiful stadium, nicest stadium he's ever been to, and he's been to Allegiant Stadium as well too in Las Vegas. And he was saying
That's a
SoFi,
nice stadium too.
Yeah.
nothing touches SoFi with the screen and the sound system. So the who's who is going to be there, man. It's LA. These prices are astronomical. He's not even going to the game. He's going to the festivities with his family. They're going to go up, check out the festivities, but on Sunday they're coming back down, coming back home and back to San Diego, and they're going to watch it on TV. So to your point, and he's saying that there's not really a bad seat in the house. They kind of have it set up that it's not really a bad seat. And these are all resale tickets. These are all season ticket holders that are just simply paying for their season tickets for next year with these prices and the tickets. And I've been to some pretty big games where we've gotten tickets right before kickoff. I went to USC, Oregon, back when Reggie Bush and Lindell White days up in Oregon. And we only went up. We had 2 tickets, and we had 2 other people with us. And what we ended up doing was we waited, man, until it got real close. And we were tailgating. And right before we walked in, this guy gave us just 2 amazing tickets for that price. Because once the game is about to start, these tickets go down to zero value. So that's a good point, Cash. Are you willing to risk the flight, the time, the festivities? Everything is going to be super expensive in LA because this is more of a who's who. The NFL knows that that's what the Super Bowl is. It's a who's who. It's bigger than the game. It's an event. They are expecting a record amount of fans to watch the Super Bowl this year. So I expect the commercials to be incredible. So yeah, man. But Ocho Cinco makes a great point. But when this is in LA, brand new stadium that they're trying to pay for, man, I wouldn't be surprised if the tickets got a little higher going to the game right before they drop. It's crazy, man.
The point you make about the LA thing is really prevalent in this season as far as LA fans and that. And this is one of the things when you look at this picture here. This is a meme that shows the Bengals Super Bowl rally. This is at Paul Brown versus what the LA Rams did outside the stadium with a bunch of fans, and they were basically nobody came and showed up. There's some dedicated fans out there for LA, but for LA, here's the thing. They were in St. Louis just not a few years ago. They couldn't make it in LA years ago because nobody cared about the Rams. I remember when they moved to St. Louis. Nobody cared about football in LA. They care about the Lakers, and that's it. And the Lakers is just really, again, another celebrity show. It's them to go out and be able to be seen. And you don't get seen as much as in a football game, but they will come out because it is LA. So you get these fair weather fans that really, to me, when I look at this, I want to root for Cincinnati even more because to me it's a dedicated that's long suffering that's been out there versus a team that is buying a Super Bowl, setting it up in their home stadium in order to generate revenue, to bring people in, and to try to generate fans in this big market. And the problem with California, and I don't begrudge them this, is that football is just something they don't care about. They've got so many other things. Their kale, they got their yoga.
Weather, great weather.
Yeah, surfing. They
avocado toast.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful women.
It's just not what they do. They didn't do it when they left LA the first time. They tried to bring the Raiders there. It didn't work. Now they got 2. They bring the Chargers from San Diego, where the people in San Diego love the Chargers, love their team. They take them away and bring them into LA, and it's just not. I don't think it's going to work there. So yeah, it's crazy to see something like that, and then to charge all the prices. It was funny. It kind of reminds me of the Alshon Jeffrey press conference back in 2017. when they were asking him
I
about.
saw that earlier this week.
It
Yeah.
was great stuff. And he was like, what would you do if we had to play this in this cold weather? NFL's never going to do that. They're not going to play in an outdoor winter stadium anymore. Well, they did it in New York. Yeah, but that's not Minnesota. That ain't here. And they're never going to do it. And that's the thing is, like you said, at Cleveland, if it was in Cleveland, more people would be able to go, but they're not going to do that. They're going to keep playing the Super Bowl in Vegas, in L.A., and again, in other places where they know they can do it indoors. New Orleans gets the Super Bowl every 4 years. Miami, that's where it's going to be at. But so let's get away from the politics of the game and to actually talk about some of the great stories in this game, because there are some great stories. This one cracks me up. This meme here is you got Stafford playing, Eminem performing. This is the closest Detroit has ever actually been to being in a Super Bowl, and that is so true. I am not joking. I grew up in Detroit, and they have nothing. I mean, when I was a kid, Billy Sims, so I'm going to date myself, Billy Sims was a star running back. Everybody loved him, but they had nothing around him. And then what do? They repeat it in the late 80s, early 90s, and they go out and get Barry Sanders, and they don't build anything around him. Barry Sanders made a name for himself with nothing to speak of. And for the Lions fans, they have been abused, similar to Cincinnati. At least Cincinnati's been to 2 Super Bowls. The Lions fans can't even get to one, and it's their ownership just basically gets them 1 star and then milks everything out of them and never builds around him and just builds that one guy up so that they can get people to the games. Calvin Johnson has been that guy, Megatron, and Stafford has been that guy. Stafford knows what it's like. Stafford actually played. If you look at his stats, he's had 4,000-yard seasons in Detroit, but they don't build around him. He could have had this Super Bowl season a long time ago, had the Detroit management. You can blame ownership. You can blame the general manager. Had they put a little bit more into that team, Stafford could have been to a Super Bowl before now. Should have been to one when he had the Megatron years. Now, I'm not going to talk about when the Dallas Cowboys robbed him of a chance to go to the NFC Championship game, when they were face guarded into him, when the guy didn't even look behind, the linebacker covering the tight end didn't even look back, and the ball hit him in the back of the head, and he's smacking him in the face. We'll talk about that. But they were robbed in that season. That was the same year that Dez Bryant didn't catch that pass. So we won't talk about that either. But so Detroit, they've been on the cusp, and Stafford's been on the cusp, but this is his best opportunity. This is his best shot. So I think everybody in Detroit, I don't know if you caught the guy on TikTok that is a Stafford fan no matter what. And so when Stafford went to L.A., he still wears his Lions Stafford jersey, and then they caught him on TikTok, and he went viral freaking out during the NFC Championship game, actually during the game, the division champion, the playoff. And then Stafford, they found out about it, and they flew him out to L.A. for the NFC Championship game against the Niners, gave him a good seat and a signed Stafford jersey and all that stuff. And that's kind of cool because that's as close as the Lions fans are going to come. So what's your feelings on Stafford in the Super Bowl? Do you have good expectations for how he'll perform?
First off, I got to say, Tubby, I don't know if you caught this, but Lee, I'm a little skeptical, man. You know a lot about Detroit football. Then you let on, man.
Well, I did grow up there. I did grow up there. And I remember, no, it's so funny because when I first got into football, I was like 9, 10 years old, and Billy Sims was huge. And I tell everybody the story. My uncle was the one who got me into the Eagles. He started bringing me Eagles shirts and pennants, and he was like, you do not want to be a fan of the Lions. Because I was starting, it's my hometown team. And there was a song on the radio that was a parody of Queen's Another One Bites the Dust, and it was Another Lion Bites the Dust. And in the middle of the song, they go, here comes the Detroit Lions. And you hear this little kitten go, meow, meow. And I was like, why would I be a fan of that team? The radio was making fun of them. And that was in 1981. So I was like, no, I'm going to root for the Eagles. So having lived there, I left there in 89. So you just know. And I rooted for Barry Sanders. I always wanted him to do well. How could you not, being from Detroit? But they never really did anything. They just abused. And then we have gone up there and seen the Eagles play, in Philly. And I've worn my Eagles gear in Detroit. They got killed that year. We've talked about that a little bit at Thanksgiving Day with what's his name?
Man, yeah.
Mark Sanchez is the quarterback, and then Megatron killed him. I digress. So yeah, I do know a lot about Detroit football, but yeah, it's like I said, when we talked about at the beginning, Stafford I root for just sentimentally because he's gone through a lot being in Detroit, and he's got a shot. But that's probably as far as like where that goes is like the players individually. Yeah, I might root for them, but I don't want the fans in LA to win a Super Bowl. The players, yeah, if they win
won't
it, I'll feel
care.
good.
It's
I know,
just
yeah.
like they won't care. And
They
to be
won't.
honest with you, I spent a lot of years, stationed near St. Louis, so I know a lot of St. Louis folks that are actual Ram fans that are going to this game that are still Ram fans. So they have a lot of transplants. So the people that I do, and that's happens to be family. My wife is from St. Louis. You know what I mean? So the people that's going, I'm all for it, man, because hey, man, their team got ripped, ripped out of their city and going to LA for the glitz and glamour, and rightfully so. If you ever been to St. Louis, it probably was tough to keep them guys there in St. Louis when you had LA knocking on their door. But back to your point, Matt Stafford, man, like, people forget that he had to throw his way into games. He threw his way out of games. It was a lot of different things that he had to go through playing in Detroit. So all the things could be washed, under the bridge if he wins this championship, and then it will solidify him, OBJ, Aaron Donald. It's a bunch of guys there that can solidify their reputation if they win in LA regardless. And I don't think anybody would really care about where they won it outside of saying Super Bowl champion before their name. You know what I mean? But the thing that cautions me about Stafford is there's a lot of trust that McVay is putting in that man's hands. And we all know from watching him over the years is he's matured over the years, but he is susceptible to giving that ball back to the other team. And in a game where, a Super Bowl, everybody has the yips. You never know how everybody's going to start off. You can't turn that ball over in that game. I say if the Rams do not turn the ball over and Stafford's not one of the main reasons, they go ahead and win this game. I just think they have an overwhelming defense and offense to be able to offset whatever Cincinnati does. Well, I know we didn't get to Cincinnati yet, but the caveat is that boy Joe hasn't had himself a game yet, and he's in the Super Bowl.
That's true.
You know what I mean? He's thrown for 400, 500 yards this year. He hasn't had a game like that yet. So you never know what type of Bengals team is going to come out of there. All I say is just don't turn the ball over. They're going to be in these empty sets. He's going to throw the ball 40 times. You know what I mean? You just hope that Cam Akers is able to keep Cincy off the field from it being a back and forth. As a fan, I want to watch that of the game. But if I'm the Rams, I don't want to get into, a throwing match, especially with Burrows, who is not afraid to get knocked down 9 times and get up 10.
I agree. I wholeheartedly. Before we get Tubby's take, let's just take a look at the stat real quick. No quarterback has ever won the Heisman, a national title, and the Super Bowl, and Joe Burrow has a chance to do it all in 3 years, which is crazy. Win a national title at LSU, Heisman, and potentially win a Super Bowl. He has that shot. And so that's what we're really talking about is, does Stafford with the experience override Joe Burrow and just right now, just the momentum, you could call it, of where they're at. And one of the things that Joe Burrow has is this devil may care attitude where he's like, you can't tell him no, that he can't do it, because it's almost like he's too young to be told that he can't do it, that he have those doubts. He's got an overwhelming amount of confidence.
He
going
has
into
more
this game.
meaningful championships than Stafford.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, in his young career. So why should he really care? I mean, if this was Tom, if this was in Aaron Rodgers or anybody other, other quarterback in the NFC that has won championships, yeah, I can get losing some sleep, but I'm not losing sleep over Matt Stafford at all.
Good point.
I'm losing sleep over Aaron Donald and Ramsey in games. I mean, like great games and Leonard Floyd. That's who I'm losing sleep over.
That makes sense.
What Matt Stafford's going to do.
So what's your take on the quarterback matchup, Tubby?
I think the edge is going to go to Stafford in this one. I just think, veteran, being a veteran quarterback, I think that means something in preparation for a game. But we also seen Patrick Mahomes win one as a young quarterback as well, too. The Bengals have a really solid squad, man. I'm not gonna give my predictions yet. So just talking about the quarterbacks, I have to give the edge to Matt Stafford. I know you said be water under the bridge, and it's it's weird you say that because you almost jinxed it because Red Hot Chili Peppers, City of Angels, And this is exactly what they're at, right? In Los Angeles, supposed to be the city of angels, so it's like, hey, this is all right there, man. Everything is going, the momentum is going in Stafford's favor, man. I just think, this is his moment. I really do. And I think he'll have the edge over Burrow when it comes to I think he has better weapons. First of all, I mean, he has a Triple Crown winner, and who I believe should have been the league MVP this year in Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp had a phenomenal year. I think if Cooper Kupp would have probably eclipsed 20 touchdowns, he probably would have been a hands down favorite.
Would have had no choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with Odell Beckham, Higbee is out, so I don't even know who their backup tight end is. But like I said, getting Cam Akers back. But if we're just talking about the quarterback position, I think Stafford takes the edge here. I think the offense is fitted for Stafford. I think, Burrow's more so just getting where he fits in. That's why you can see the games where he's thrown for 500 this year. He's thrown for 400 this year. And he's also had a lot of games where he's thrown for under 200 yards, or that low 200 range. We know Stafford's going to throw the ball. You can bet it. You can bet it, man. He didn't have to throw it a lot against the Cardinals because they can win in more different ways. But if we're just talking about the quarterback position, I give the edge to Matthew Stafford. What about you?
The way I look at it is first of all, you talk about Cooper Kupp, so I got to show this meme. He's got Tom Brady here, and it says he was never the fastest or strongest. He fell in the draft. He worked on his game. He rose to become one of the best players in the NFL and had a career year in 2021. And then you see Cooper Kupp in the background. Thank you for everything, Cooper Kupp. Yeah, I am surprised that Cooper Kupp did not win the MVP, especially since the NFL was kind of down on Rodgers because of the whole vax thing. I thought, okay, they're just not going to give it to him because of that. And I won't take it away that Rodgers had a great year, and it's supposed to be a regular season award. But without Cooper Kupp, the Rams aren't where they are at right now. And you could probably say the same thing about the Packers, but you can say that about a lot of quarterbacks that lead in their team. When you say it about a wide receiver, that if you take Cooper Kupp off the Rams this year, they may not win the same amount of games. You watched him make catches that he shouldn't have caught and get in position where he shouldn't be. And it's not just him. When you've got him and OBJ on the same team, and Cooper's getting the one that's getting double covered, and you're leaving OBJ in single coverage, that's a wealth of riches for Stafford to be able to throw to. And then you got Jefferson on top of it. Higbee not having them is going to be hard to deal with, and it's still not certain whether Uzomah is going to play on the other side for the Bengals. He did, I don't know if you saw the rally, he did a dramatic thing where he came up on crutches on the stage, and then he took off the braces and everything and threw them into the crowd. I think that's great. So it looks like he might play. He's thinking he's going to play. And those tight ends are big for both these quarterbacks. The big thing for me is it comes down to that calculated experience versus just one of the things that cracked me up about Burrow when I say the devil may care attitude was when they asked him, during the game against the Chiefs, not the one that they won in the championship game, but the one in, I think, week 17. And they said, what was your mindset, when he threw for over 400 yards against the Chiefs? And he said, I had this mentality, just F it. Jamar's down there somewhere. I'm just going to throw it up. And that's the way he approaches a lot of games. He trusts Jamar. That's the thing that Stafford does have Cooper and has this chemistry, but Burrow has this really great chemistry with Jamar Chase because they've been together so long. And through their relationship, everybody in the Bengals are buying into him. Everybody is buying into their team mentality. So I think that gives Burrow a great edge. The problem is, as we've said, we've kind of broached on it or touched on it, is the one thing that's kept me from picking him all year long is that offensive line and keeping him upright. 9 sacks against the Titans. The Chiefs were after him all day long. If Burrow doesn't make these miraculous escapes against the Chiefs and to get some first downs, then we're not having this conversation right now. And I just don't see Aaron Donald and company and Von Miller letting him escape like the Chiefs did. And so that's going to be tough. I think that we're going to see a low-scoring game because neither of these quarterbacks, just like, say, Stafford against the 49ers didn't put up a ton of great numbers. he's had a pretty good playoffs, but they've been in some dogfights. So I'm thinking we're going to see a low-scoring dogfight. I think it's going to be fun, regardless of what it is, but I don't think it's going to be that shootout that a lot of people are expecting, mainly because the Rams' defense and that offensive line are not going to let Burrow put 400 yards up on against him. I think he's going to have to fight for every single yard. So it's going to be interesting to see where it does go. So that leads us to my favorite segment every single episode, and I love this one. And this one we're just going to talk about as far as the Super Bowl and it being played in LA this year. It's time for our
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, no, to the no, no. Hell to the no, no, to the no, 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 no. Hell to the no, no, to the.
I love it, man. Hell to the Gnaw this week is a statement from Roger Goodell. Of course, this is not a real statement, but it's something that's been put out and circulated on the internet, and I love it. Absolutely love it to death. And he talks about the NFL, its teams, and its players are deeply worried regarding the unprecedented situation that has unfolded as a result of last week's NFC Championship game between the Rams and the 49ers. For the second straight year, there will be a team with an unfair home field advantage in the Super Bowl. As an organization, we have tried to avoid this very situation by utilizing neutral sites, but having it occur 2 years in a row is a cause for change. To guarantee this will never happen again, the league has come to a unanimous decision to move every Super Bowl following this season to AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas. I absolutely love this day. I think it's great because, yeah, you won't have any chance of having a home team advantage in that stadium right now. You know what the thing is, Eagles fan, what's great about this thing, this playoff run again, we had a team in the Cowboys going in with one of the best offense in the league. And they, again, couldn't, just collapsed in the first playoff game. Just freaking fizzled out. So they won as many playoff games as the Eagles won this year. You know, they go down to a very tough San Francisco defense, and it makes me happy as an Eagles fan every time something like this happens. It just does. I have a lot of friends who are Cowboys fans, and I feel for them as fans not being able to go, but really I don't. I don't, because it's great. We have to, as Eagles fans, we have to talk about the Cowboys each and every podcast just to get a little dig in them, that they're, again, another year has gone by since the 90s that they have not been in the Super Bowl. So I think that's great stuff.
Absolutely, man. And when I read that thing, man, I sent it to all the Cowboys fans. I know some of them cussed me out. Some of them blocked me. Doesn't matter to me. I mean, that was hilarious, man. I was reading that statement like it was a real thing the first time somebody sent it to me. And so that was genius. That was genius,
I love
man.
it. I love people calling stuff like that. We mentioned a couple of weeks ago that the Cowboys fan that we saw wearing a Cowboys hat with the Chief jersey at the AFC Championship game was the reason that they lost, because they brought the bad juju in with them by wearing that Cowboys hat, man. I'm sure every Chiefs fan's like, what the hell are you doing, dude? You're wrecking us. Because it's just something about it. It is good. One day it may end, but it's one of those things that we love. Like when Romo was there, they had so many good teams and had a chance, and they just could never get past the first round. And the Dez didn't catch it game and everything like that. It's been nice as Eagles fans. So, you know, we've got a more recent Super Bowl than they do. Hopefully we get another one soon. So, yeah, it's good to have that stuff. But you know, before we finish up, I want to talk about one of the things I want to say is defenses. You know, the one thing that we haven't really talked about is Cincinnati's defense. Do we think that Cincinnati coming in has the opportunity with this defense to actually compete? They played, I mean, this is a defense that actually shut out not shut out, but shut down the Chiefs in the second half of that game. They scored 3 points in the whole second half of that game. And then in the overtime, you know, the Chiefs win the toss, and the Bengals give the ball back to Joe Burrow. I want to show a quick TikTok here because this is something that I saw today, and I was kind of surprised at looking at these players and thinking, okay, maybe they got a shot. So let's look at this real quick. This is the Bengals defense.
Niggas in trouble. Fresh out the bed. Count out the dead. 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 Fresh out. Out of the bed, count out the dead. Bow, bow. We heard what you said. We heard what you said.
So the one thing that my favorite part about that whole segment right there is Eli Apple. Did you notice that? Twitter
Man,
menace.
he's so trash. He's so trash, but hey, he's
Twitter
there, man.
menace.
He's in the bowl.
They have all these
Instant
players with
eye
all
roll,
of these stats, with all these
top
sex
five,
stats, and then they get to Apple and they go Twitter menace. Is claimed. That's the one thing I would say that they will, if they win, they'll win in spite of Eli Apple, because he does. He is burnt toast. He was getting killed by Tyreek Hill during the Chiefs game, and once the pass rush started getting to Mahomes, that was the one thing I thought about the team was their front seven. In the first half, Mahomes was getting free. They were chasing him around. He was getting through. Second half, they started playing a little bit more contained, and they weren't letting him get out. And so Stafford is not near as mobile as Holmes. So what do we think about the Bengals defense? Do they have a shot at being able to shut down the high-powered offense of the Rams?
Here's the thing, though. Everybody's been talking about how the Rams pretty much are trying to buy a championship with all the free agency signings. If you really look at the Bengals, they did the same thing with not as splashier names. You know what I mean? Not a lot of those guys are homegrown talent. You know, Burrows, you got Burrows, Mixon, and you know, Chase, as far as on the offense, and Higgins, and you know what I mean, drafted there. But on that defense, that defense is a lot of free agent pickups. It's just less heralded. So when it really boils down to it, is like those guys have nothing to lose. Like we said earlier, you know, in the show, they really have nothing to lose, and they're solid. They're solid all around. If you can damn near shut out Kansas City in the second half of football when they're up 18 points at half, I can give you a chance, you know, 0-0 with 4 quarters to go. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm, you know, teeter-tottering on, you know, where I don't know where to really sit with Cincinnati, because that defense is opportune, and they're steady, man. They're steady. So it's nothing to be afraid of. It's just that they play you honest, and it's really for them. If they turn Matt Stafford over or anybody else on that Rams offense, you might want to cancel Christmas, because they have the offense to compete. So I'll stay there with my take on that as far as defense goes.
Makes sense.
I think,
Tubby, what do you think?
man, I think when it comes to the defensive side, if the Rams can get the run game going, they're in trouble. You know, since he gives up 127 yards a game on the ground, if Cam Akers gets going or Sony Michel gets going, it's going to be a very, very, very long day. And it's a good point that you brought up the defense, because I think that's where, they give up 30 more yards a game than the as far as total yards allowed, they total yards allowed a game, about 400 yards a game to the Rams 286 yards. So that's 110 yards difference per game. And the rushing yards, the Rams are only giving up 54 yards a game to Cincinnati's 127. Man, that's almost triple. So there's some significant gaps there when it comes to Cincinnati's defense. And you look at the teams that Cincinnati have lost to this year. They have 7 losses, but the teams that they've lost to, the Jets, the Browns are a bad team this year. I'm sorry. You lost to the Browns. The Browns are a bad team. I don't have the rest of them in front of me. Those, they lost to the Chargers.
They run the ball.
Chargers aren't a bad team, but they lost to the Chargers. They lost to a lot of bad teams this year, in my opinion. That's the only thing that makes me apprehensive about Cincinnati in general, because, damn, y'all lost to Mike White as well too with the Jets. That was, he lit him up. 4 touchdowns. He had an incredible day against that Bengals. So there are glaring differences on the defensive side of the ball when it comes to these two teams. And it does show you what money can get you.
I'm not mad at the Rams buying the defense, man.
But if we're talking homegrown, their number one guy is homegrown, Aaron Donald. He is, and he has been a Pro Football Focus number 1 defensive rated player. He's perennial in it.
Player,
99 in Madden
player.
every year. Every year when you look at the numbers, just the stats, take the fans away. When you just look at the numbers, Aaron Donald
being
is a menace to society.
interior lineman at that. You know what I mean?
100%. And then you have Vaughn though. Still, you have Vaughn as well. Aaron Donald demands a double team. He demands it. Lee made a really good point about Burrows spinning out of those. If Chris Jones just tackles Burrows those 2 times he has him in the grass on 3rd and 7, and I think the other one was like 8. They were all about like 3rd and 7, roughly.
Yeah.
If he tackles him, we're talking about the Chiefs for sure. I mean, those plays were the biggest difference in the game a lot of times, that even when Kansas City finally did stop him, have him dead to rights. I don't think he's slipping out of an Aaron Donald grasp, not in the Super Bowl. I think, I think that's a vicious line there for the Rams, and I just don't think they're even they're hard to even mention in the same breath as. I mean, I know that's a hype video, and they're always going to be looked at. You can pick and choose, which guys are having, but man, they got some dogs over there for the Rams, man. So I have to give the edge to the Rams on the defensive side of the ball for sure, man.
Yeah, those are all. I mean, those are all great points. The thing is, like you said, it is a hype video, but they, some of these guys, that front 7 deserve hype. But yeah, you're right. The one thing that you really point out there is that running game. A lot of their opponents did not really try to run the game. Even the Raiders, who have Jacobs, tried to pass more than they did. They tried to put the ball in Carr's hands. So, and then even when the Tennessee Titans had Derrick Henry back, but Derrick Henry was coming off injury, his first game back, and so that was the one game where the Bengals did stop the run, but it was they caught him at a good time. So it's one of those things. So one of the things you said, you bring up their record. So you did point out something to me and spurs up my head. Is like when we talk about the Eagles that year. The Eagles had only lost 3 games legitimately in that season that they won the Super Bowl, and everybody was counting them out. So they were a good team that whole season through. The Bengals, midway through the season, we didn't even know if they were going to win the division. You didn't know in that North. You had the Steelers, the Browns, the Ravens, and the Bengals, and nobody seemed to want that division. And then they got hot at the right time, and maybe this is just indicative of that, where it's just they're just hot right now at the right time, and they just keep going up, and they're going to shock us all again. It's so hard, again, when you talk about the Rams defense. They are in another league. Not just covering the pass, but covering the run, rushing the quarterback. They will single-handedly give the ball back to Stafford, even if Stafford makes a mistake. So even if he does throw that inopportune pick, which he's known to do, he knows that the defense is going to give him the ball back, which is something that the Lions would never do. So, he's sitting in a really good position. So that brings us to here, where we're going to break it down. We'll go to our guest first to discuss his pick for the game coming up on Sunday. Bengals, Rams. Who you got, Cash?
I got the Rams for a multitude of reasons. You touched on a lot of them, but I mean, really just being the experience. That's the one thing that we're neglecting to say, is that they have the experience, as well as the free agents, as well as the star power, as well as being at home. And it just seems like everything is lining up for them to win this thing. Like, to be honest with you, it just the stats that Tubby brought off. I'm just saying 30 yards, 27 yards per game, running it. The only thing I fear is Sean McVay getting too cute. That's the only thing I fear, because if you can run the ball and you can get 127 yards or better, do it. You know what I mean? You don't have to overthink it. A lot of championships are won on the ground, and if you can keep the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands, and then in reverse, if you're talking about Mixon running the ball, they can, very well possibly do the same thing. Although, 50, they're not even allowing close to 100 yards in these playoffs against running backs. You know what I mean? And again, they may have faced a lot of teams that throw the ball more often than run. But again, throughout the course of the season, number 1 rated defense, that doesn't happen by happenstance, man. Like, I just have the Rams winning it, man. I just think that they're too tough mentally. You know what I mean? To be able to be there. They're 2 years removed from a Super Bowl with Goff leading the team.
Right.
You just feel way more confident with Stafford. And that sounds crazy coming out of my mouth. I feel more confident in Stafford, but I just do, just based on the body of work and just having, OBJ is that 1A, and Kupp is out of this world as far as being able to get open. The type of moves he's doing on people in the footwork is phenomenal. If you ever been a receiver or a cornerback at any level of football, you just can't tell what this man is about to do as far as when he's planting or whatever his route is about to be. Eli Apple, if he ends up on this guy, cancel Christmas. OBJ, cancel like Eli Apple is gonna be he's gonna get taken advantage of early and often, and I just hope this thing doesn't become a blowout. That's really at this point, that's all I'm hoping. I don't see a way where the Bengals really win this outside of mistakes made by the Rams not being prepared to handle the moment.
Good point. Tubby, what you think?
Man, that's that last point is a good point. I think the only way the Rams lose it if they do if they almost hurt themselves, which is kind of like how the Kansas City did. That game was over. I was talking trash. I was like, in the first half, I was like, man, I bet that barbecue in Kansas City tastes real good right now. They were up 21-3. I bet that they were just licking sauce off their fingers. And my boy said in the second half, he was like, I bet they threw that barbecue away now. They don't want it. But I think when we look at it, man, from every level, when we look at the coaching staff, you're kidding yourself if the Rams don't have the edge with the coaching staff. Sean McVay has been there before. Taylor just looks like he's happy to be here and things are working out for him. They have it when it comes to the coaching staff. I give a winner, when you're a winner, man. Joe Burrows is a winner. So you can never count him out. But this is professional sports, and veteran guys matter. It plays a huge part in the game, and I think Stafford will be better prepared. I don't know. It's just that veteran quarterback, and we all knew Stafford has never been trash. He just played for Detroit, and I think that's two very different things in my opinion. Playing for Detroit and not being a good quarterback are two separate things. You mentioned Billy Sims, you mentioned Barry Sanders. We're talking 2 Heisman Trophy winners.
Yeah,
we're talking 2 guys that was at the top of their game coming into pro sports. Billy Sims, 2-time All-Pro. Barry Sanders, 2-time All-Pro, Heisman Trophy winner, you name it. And both of them out of state of Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's crazy.
You have Mixon there.
Yeah.
I
was just going to say
there.
about those 2 running backs is that, and Detroit, like you said, to your point, ran him into the ground. And that's what they do. So, so Stafford is getting his first opportunity this season to play outside of that losing mentality, because Detroit has a losing culture. You saw it with a guy like Jamal Williams coming in there, who is like a really high character guy, and the city of Detroit embraced him. But they're just happy just to play and earn a paycheck. And Jamal Williams could see that. He knew he was out there just to run the ball a little bit, but they're not there to win in Detroit. They're just not. And so
the Detroit
that's
media
big.
is never going to kill him.
No,
they're never going to be that hard on them.
Yeah, so
they're harder on the Pistons than they are on the Lions.
It's true. Any other Detroit team, So like, go back to what you're saying about Stafford and the Rams.
When it comes to the quarterback, I have to give Stafford the edge. At the running back position, I am going to give it to another Oklahoma guy, which is Mixon. I think Mixon has the edge as just at least being a running back that is consistent. You have P. Ryan as a good changeup. You see what P. Ryan did in that Kansas City game. That unexpected 45, 46-yard screen pass for a touchdown at the end of the game is underrated as far as it breaking the game open. If you take away that, or they just get 3 there, Bengals probably don't win that game. It's probably insurmountable at that point. And then Kansas City may actually run the ball like a normal team would. They actually, I thought they got cute. I thought Kansas City got cute, which is the point you made with McVay getting too cute. Sometimes these guys can overthink it, and I think that's what happened with Kansas City. When it comes to the defensive side of the ball, can't say it anymore, man. These guys are, these guys are vicious for the Rams, man. Ramsey, you have All-Pro at almost, to have an All-Pro in the secondary,
every skill position
on your line.
Yeah.
They have some guys there, and they have guys there that have done it before. But so did the Patriots against the Eagles, and the Eagles still won. I'm taking the Bengals in a surprising tight game.
Oh, man.
I'm taking the Bengals in a surprising tight game. I know I said 24-17 last week, but hear me this week. What's his name? What Joey Crack say? Yesterday's price is not today's price. I'm taking the Bengals, man, in a weird game, man. 20-17. I find Joe Burrows to just be a winner. I like Joe Cool, Joe Shiesty, all the nicknames they have for him, man. I think this team is just young and dumb out there in Cincinnati. They don't know any better. I think the LA Rams being home, getting that home cooking, I think it can kind of, I think they've been basking in it too much. They've just been home, the festivities, the club, they get pulled left and right. They get to sleep on their own couch. The Bengals have been continuing that dog mentality that they've had all throughout the playoffs. And now they're just walking into somebody else's house again where nobody's giving them a chance. And I think unless Burrow can't survive 9 sacks against the Rams. Let me put that out there. I think if so I'm gonna throw something out there. If Burrow can stay upright, I say 3 sacks or less, I think the Bengals can win this game, man. I really do, because even if they double, even if you put Ramsey on, let's say, I don't even know who the best guy out there, because T. Higgins can get it done. You see down the stretch against Kansas City, T. Higgins was getting it done. He was making a lot of almost every play went to T. Higgins. He went to his bigger receivers, and that's what a lot of guys do. So depending on where Rams, I think they're just going to avoid Ramsey, get the ball out quick.
Start him there though, like because T. Higgins is a bigger receiver and not as shifty as Chase is. They may start him there, and then it may get to the point to where Chase is, eating the church, taking the church's money.
Good point. That's a good point. You still have Tyler Boyd, who is the captain of the receiving corps. You seen against was it Pittsburgh or it was either Pittsburgh or that Baltimore game. Where I think Joe Burrows threw the ball to Boyd 15 times. He has rapport. I say all that to say he has rapport with every receiver. If the Rams had Woods, I think it would be unsurmountable, because that means Eli Apple was just, everybody he faces is better than him all day. Having Woods out, and that's one thing we haven't mentioned, is that, man, if they had Robert Woods, they're not even at full strength. They still had Robert Woods. This game would be, it wouldn't even be close. But I don't really trust Cam Akers, and I don't really trust Sony Michel. And I think I'm gonna take Cincinnati, man, 20-17, man. I'm gonna take Cincinnati Bengals, man, to win their first Super Bowl in a shocking manner. 20-17, man. Bengals.
All right.
I got 31-23 Rams.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So here's my take, is that the way I look at it is the Bengals are going to come into this game, and I think that Zach Taylor, being a young coach, though, he does try to prep his team well. He tries to look at who his opponent is. They took 9 sacks against the Titans, and they came out against the Chiefs, and they ran a lot of screens, and they ran a lot of slant passes to beat that pass rush. Still, Burrow was under a lot of pressure. I think to beat the Rams, the Bengals are going to have that same mentality. They're going to have to get Pirine and Mixon out in the flat to get some screen passes, and to benefit that hot pass rush, to try to make the Rams' aggression work against them, because that's the thing that I think that's the only thing that's going to save them. You don't want to be sitting there throwing against Jalen Ramsey on a routine, conventional West Coast style offense where you're throwing it down and in, and you got Ramsey covering you man on man. That's not going to work. But if they throw some slants and they throw some quick passes, even wide receiver screens, they can put the Rams off balance, and then maybe get them to try to bring them up a little bit, and just so they can throw to Chase deep and try to get them off guard. I think that if they don't come out with that type of game plan, if they just try to play a conventional offense against the Rams, it's going to kill them. The defensive side of the ball for the Bengals, I think that they got their hands full, but they are opportunistic, and they're already at being called the underdog. And I think what's going to happen is that, or what I hope, like my heart, I hope that that's what happens. I hope that this Bengals team rises up and plays both sides of the ball extremely well, better than they ever have all season, and they just come out and surprise and shock the world and win the Super Bowl, for Cincinnati. I think that would be a great story. However, I'm going to do the opposite of what Bird did. I think the Rams have just got too much. I think it's going to be a close game. I think that the Bengals are going to give it everything they have, but in the end, I think it's going to be 24-20. I think it's going to be 24-20 Rams coming down to the end, where the Bengals maybe have one last drive, but they're down by 4, so they can't kick field goal, so their hero can't come out, and win the game for him with his leg. They have to go for the touchdown, and maybe they fall just short at the end of the game. I'm hoping that's not what happens, but that's what my gut tells me is going to happen. But hey, I've picked against the Bengals the whole playoffs, and I haven't gotten it right. In fact, I ended up dropping all the way to third place, mainly because my opponent kept picking the Bengals, and I was not. And so I've dropped all the way to third in the picks out of 20 people because I just can't see it. I just can't see what they see. Now, I hope the Bengals win, but I just can't see it. They're going to have to show me. They're just going to have to. The offensive line's got to do something to show me that they can keep Burrow upright. But you make great points, Tubby. That's the key. If Burrow has time, then I do think the Bengals could win it. I just don't with that defense. I don't see how he does have time. So it's crazy. So any last words from you guys about Super Bowl? I mean, we're looking forward to a great halftime show. A lot of throwbacks. I think this is one of the first halftime shows where I'm not going to leave the room and go to the bathroom and get some more food or anything. I'm actually going to prepare so that I can enjoy and watch the halftime show.
Yeah. Nah, man. Only question I have for y'all, man. What y'all eating for the game, man? I'm having some wings over here. I'm making some of that old classic cheese dip with the hamburger in it and stuff like that. I'm making all the classics. White making some buffalo chicken, salad, dip as well too, blue cheese dip. So it's gonna be a wings and probably fries for me, the Super Bowl and some chips, man. What you guys having? What you have on the menu?
Oh yeah, the
Kash?
lemon pepper wings. They always on deck. You know that you can't go wrong with those. I got the spicy sausage and the cheese dip. You know what I mean? And I think I'm gonna keep it simple, man. And some finger foods, your little hot dog, and the pigs in a blanket. You know what I mean, for the kids. So keep it simple. Probably drink on some. It's called Nikki. It sounds like the N word, but some Japanese whiskey. Yeah, so I can't pronounce. I was about to say Nikki instead of. I don't want to get misconstrued. But
that is probably what they named it. They did it on purpose. The Japanese can be racist. They could be. Man, they're like, we're going to name this.
Favorite whiskey, so I'll be doing that, and hopefully, I make it to work on time because we still got to go to work here overseas.
Oh yeah.
What time does the game come on for you there, man?
Oh.
Shoot! What time does the game start this time? This year, 8.
It's 6:30 Eastern is the kickoff here.
So midnight. So I ain't got to be to work till about 1300. That 1:00 for the civilians watching.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, I've been there. We were talking about.
I may or may not make it. I think I've heard about it.
We were talking about watching that American Underdog with Kurt Warner, and that was my first Super Bowl overseas, was the 2000, and we had just gotten to England. And I just didn't know what to think, man. Having to stay up that late to watch Super Bowl. I was just jet lagged though, so it wasn't that big a deal. But it was the fact that it didn't end until almost dawn. So it was like, wow. So you're just dealing with that being a overseas gentleman.
Been here almost 6 years. I go to work tired all the time between being an NBA fan and an Eagles fan and just sports in general. Like you just comes from the territory. You're just gonna be tired.
Yeah. I'm taking Monday off because we're planning on doing a little thing and. For food for us, I wasn't thinking about buffalo chicken dip until now, so that's on the menu now. One of the things that as soon as you said that, though, my heart started to hurt because the best eating we ever had was when I did the one at your house for the Seattle Patriots.
The chef.
The smoked wings that time, man, that was one of the best. And then the dip you had that time. When you came over here that one Super Bowl and brought just the trays of wings, and we just ate like kings. So I'll have wings, but they won't be near as good as what you do, Tubby. I just won't. Cheers. So now I'm going to be eating them and not happy. I'm going to be unsatisfied because I'm going to be like, man, now you had to remind me he's going to be having the smoked wings because those things are awesome. But yeah, so, hey, check it out. It's the baby girl. Hey. But yeah, so, I want to say, it's gonna be fun no matter what. The halftime show is gonna be good. Hopefully the commercials aren't sad this year. There's nothing worse than sad Super Bowl commercials that try to be all deep when all we want is funny. We're drinking beer, we're eating food. We want to laugh. We want to enjoy those commercials and be able to talk to our friends about that. Remember Terry Tate, for crying out loud. Give us Terry Tate again. Those were
reminded me, man. I can't watch the commercials, man.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, AFN style, huh? You AFN?
No, that's horrible.
Yeah, I got the NFL app, so they don't show the commercials during the break. So unless you have like AFN, then you can see the commercials. But we Yeah, I'm on the
Oh.
move a lot, so I got the app, man.
Yeah, that sucks because I remember that, and then having to watch him online the next day. That's not the same.
It's not the
It is
same,
definitely
man.
not
It's
the same. You know what was neat was when I was in England, we went to the club one year, and this is not the neat part, is that they had all the organizations do their own Super Bowl ads, and they were
Just gave me
horrible.
an idea.
They were all horrible, and they did them on AFN. It wasn't just England too. It was England. It was all the units that were overseas, and they did like their own versions of Super Bowl ads. They were bad. They were horrible bad. But then when I went to Lodges and I was there in the island in the middle of the Atlantic, they didn't play that. They actually got the feed through like a direct TV. So they touted the fact that they had the actual Super Bowl commercials. You couldn't fill up the club faster than knowing that we didn't have
That's
to
a
watch
good
it on
selling point.
AFN. And
That's a
we
good
didn't watch it on
selling
AFN. That was one of the best Super Bowls. What was great was that one started at around 11:30 for us at Lodges. And that was the year that the power went out between the Ravens and the 49ers. And so we just kept drinking beer, waiting for the gate when we didn't leave the club until 5 a.m. because that delay, that long ass delay between the Ravens and the 49ers. That was a good Super Bowl.
It's a good story.
Good time.
Good story. The year we won the Super Bowl, it was actually my first full year here in Germany, and I was actually at the club on base. And yeah, man, that was a beautiful experience. I think I left hoarse. You know what I mean? I called all types of people MFers, and it was a good day. You know what I mean? Surrounded by a bunch of Eagles fans in there. So yeah, man. So I didn't spend it alone. I was out and about. So that reminded me. I was like, damn, I may need to go back to the club and watch the game.
Yeah,
I think we'll see a lot of techie stuff, man, for the Super Bowl. You know, metaverse, VR stuff, man. I think it's going to be a lot of that type of advertising, man. A lot of meta advertising, you know, just digital world type stuff. And you're always going to have the Doritos commercials, Bud Light commercials,
that's
GoDaddy. You know, you're always going to have those in there. But the halftime show should be dope. Yep. Snoop Dogg, I think they got Snoop halftime, right?
Snoop, Dre,
Mary J. Blige, Eminem, and it's all throwback,
dope, man. So
it's gonna be the early 2000s all over again.
Yeah, man. So
great.
Yeah, man.
Late 90s.
Should be a good time.
One last thing, fellas, we didn't talk about the MVP. Who's gonna be the MVP? Who you got as the MVP?
Oh, the Super Bowl. Yeah, shoot. I'll give it to Stafford.
Aaron Donald.
All right, good.
I'm going to go Joe Mixon.
Wow.
Super Bowl MVP with a breakout game. I think he's so underrated. I think nobody's really even talking about him. He's an incredible running back. He can do it all. He can pass. He is what we thought Zeke would continue to be, and I think that's what Joe Mixon is. He can do it all, man. So I think Joe Mixon with the sneaker.
Well, that's a good pick. That's an interesting pick. I think regardless, I'm hoping, because nothing's worse than a blowout Super Bowl. So I'm hoping for a great game, and we've got the makings of a great game, great halftime show, great food, great company and everything like that. I want to thank Kash for being here from the Don't Sleep on the Couch podcast. Thank you so much for spending the time with us.
Hey, thanks for having me, fellas. I enjoyed it, man. More to come. How about that? More to come.
Sounds
man.
good.
Invite me back for the draft. I got a lot to say about that.
There we go. And that's our we're going to do a recap podcast next week, probably on Tuesday, because I'm going to be recuperating on Monday. And we're going to discuss what happened during the Super Bowl. And then after that, probably sometime in late March, we're going to do a draft preview, a little mock draft special. And then we're going to do a post-draft special, too, as well. So we'd be more than happy to have you back for those, man, because it's been a blast.
Yeah, love what you guys are doing.
All right, sounds good. Thanks so much for being with us. And Tubby, as always, thanks for a great season. We're looking forward to a great Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I love doing this podcast with you each and every week, so thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
And for all of you guys that are tuning in, thanks for tuning in, whether it's on the live stream through Facebook Live, Twitch. We know we've got new followers every day on YouTube, and we want to thank you for joining us and subscribing. Same thing on the podcast. I made a joke last week about we have 5 new subscribers from China. I wasn't joking about that. We actually do. We do. But we've also actually had about 10 new subscribers over the last 3 or 4 weeks when we've been doing the coverage for the playoffs. So thank you for being on board. Make sure that if you like the show, that you like and subscribe so that you can get updated, whether it's on Spotify, whether it's on Apple Podcast, whether it's on Amazon, Audible. We're just glad to have you listening to the show because we do this just for ourselves as Eagles fans, but we like to have our Eagles community in the mix. So if you want to email us with a question or comment, you could do so at our email address. That's lee.bird, that's byrd.eaglesdare@gmail.com. So with all that being said, as we do each and every week, going to turn it over to my buddy Tubby for his final words.
Hey, it's been a hell of a season. It all ends here, man. And we back with the Birds next year, man. So as always, shout out to Kash. Appreciate you coming through, man. And before I go, how can we reach you? How can the people reach you?
Oh yeah,
Kash?
definitely.
All right, yeah. So it's DSC_net. So you'll see us there. Don't sleep _net. My bad. So we got a bunch of multiple ones. We need to fix that. But on Twitter, it's don't sleep _net. On Instagram, don't sleep _net. If you want to hit me directly, is Kash _flow 83. So you can catch me on Twitter and IG, man. That's where I pretty much live and promote the podcast. So if you guys are into hip hop, you guys are into sports, we talk about all types of topics, definitely just give us a shout, man. And we'd love to have you guys on as subscribers as well.
Awesome.
And with that said, man, it's fly, Eagles, fly.
And I give you a big go Birds. Enjoy the Super Bowl, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Have a great weekend.